As Paul wrote Timothy and said, we've not been given a spirit of bondage again to fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. We need to understand this has everything to do with what Paul wrote in Romans 14:23, that whatsoever is not of faith is sin. Because the law is what gave sin its strength. 1 Corinthians 15:56. The sting of death is sin, but the strength of sin is the law. Because as the Apostle John wrote, that there's torment in fear. But perfect love casts out fear. And we're not talking about, well, anything goes. It's what Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12, and chapter 10, verse 23, when he says, all things are lawful for me, but all things don't work together for my good. All things are lawful for me, but I won't be brought under the power of any, in chapter 6, verse 12. We need to understand as the writer of Hebrew was talking about, solid food belongs to those who are of full age, who by reason of use have their senses trained to discern between good and evil. We're talking about in the mind. This is what Paul was talking about in 2 Corinthians 10, 3 through 6, casting down thoughts and imaginations and every lofty thing lifting itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. We got to understand, because when I was given this dream concerning faith, decades ago now, over 30 years ago, where it is that fear that hinders our faith. Look at Peter when he stepped out of the boat at Jesus' commandment and began to walk towards Jesus. But then he looked at the waves, the violence of the waves, and he began to sink. He's walking on water and he began to sink. He didn't sink, he began to sink. We need to understand, as John said, perfect love casts out fear. But everyone gets caught up in that, well, no one's perfect. And, the thing is that walking by faith, as the writer of Hebrews says, but without faith it's impossible to please God. For those that come to God must not only believe in his existence, but as a rewarder of those diligently seeking him. We need to understand the truth.